It was supposed to be a season for the history books. Eastbridge University's football team, the Eastbridge Eagles, had gone undefeated for the first time in 40 years. Their head coach, Marcus Trent, was hailed as a genius, equal parts tactician and motivator. The team's quarterback, Chase Dunbar, was already being scouted by top-tier NFL franchises, and the university's administration was practically printing money from the surge in alumni donations, merchandise sales, and ticket revenue. But in the quiet moments away from the roaring crowds, cracks had started to form. Samantha Reyes, a junior journalism student and intern with the campus Sports Information Department, first noticed something off when she tried to get quotes from players after practice. They were unusually guarded. Some even looked nervous. She chalked it up to pre-championship pressure, but it nagged at her. Then came the tip. An anonymous message landed in her inbox. If you want to know the real story behind the Eagles' success, look into the drug tests. At first, Samantha considered dismissing it as a prank, but curiosity and a budding reporter's instinct got the better of her. She began her quiet investigation. With the help of her roommate and computer science major, Devin Kim, she gained access to archived athletic records. What she found chilled her. 2 players who had failed drug tests earlier in the season were never suspended as required by NCAA rules. One of them, a linebacker named Roland Banks, had even received a Player of the Week award 2 days after his failed test. Digging deeper, Samantha discovered that the test results had been quietly changed in the database 2 days after the entries were made. The IP address used to make the change came from within the athletic department's own offices. Meanwhile, Chase Dunbar was facing his own dilemma. Coach Trent had instructed him to keep quiet about a locker room incident where a junior wide receiver had overdosed on performance enhancers. The kid survived, but Trent had swept the incident under the rug, promising the team he would take care of it. Chase, racked with guilt, confided in his ex-girlfriend, Lily Saunders, who worked as a student athletic trainer. Lily, who had seen the growing pile of syringes and prescription bottles in the training room's disposal bin, confirmed Chase's story and added more fuel to the fire. She'd overheard the team doctor arguing with Coach Trent about falsifying medical records. As Samantha began putting the pieces together, she realized the scope of the cover-up stretched beyond a few bad actors. It involved the coaching staff, the team doctor, and even high-ranking university administrators. The Eagles were winning because they were cheating, and those in charge were not only aware, but actively complicit. The night before the championship game, Samantha published her findings on the Student News website under the headline, "The Price of Victory," an inside look at East Bridge's football deception. The story went viral overnight. Chapter 2: Damage Control Chaos Erupted. Within hours of the article's publication, news vans descended on East Bridge University. The administration scrambled to respond, issuing a carefully worded statement about taking the allegations seriously and launching an internal investigation. But behind the scenes, the gloves were off. Coach Trent calls an emergency team meeting, blaming the media and urging the players to stay strong and united. He painted Samantha as an attention-seeking amateur, even suggesting she was bitter over being rejected by players. But some players, especially those who knew the truth, began to waver. Chase Dunbar refused to speak at the rally Trent hastily organized, and Lily began receiving veiled threats, warning her to keep quiet. Samantha was summoned by the university's legal department. They threatened her with academic penalties for illegally accessing private medical data. Devin Kim, terrified for his scholarship and family's reaction, nearly backed out of helping her. But a surprise ally appeared. Dr. Erica Holtz, an ethics professor and faculty advisor to the student newspaper. Holtz arranged for legal representation and protection under journalistic whistleblower policies. Meanwhile, NCAA investigators arrived on campus. Trent, the team doctor, and the athletic director were put on administrative leave. But it wasn't enough to calm the storm. A second whistleblower, this time a team tutor, came forward with allegations that players had been allowed to cheat on exams to remain eligible. The scandal ballooned. Public opinion turned sharply. Alumni threatened to pull donations. Protesters marched outside the stadium. The Eagles, once national heroes, were now pariahs. But Samantha wasn't done. A burner phone was left in her dorm mailbox. On it, a single video, footage from inside the locker room, showing Coach Trent instructing players to use a new supplement and promising it wouldn't be detected in drug tests. The video also showed the athletic director nodding in approval. The video was damning. News networks ran it around the clock. With the university's reputation in shambles, the Board of Trustees convened an emergency meeting. Coach Trent was fired. The athletic director resigned. Several players were suspended. Eastbridge forfeited the championship game. Chapter 3. After the fall months later, the campus had changed. The football stadium was quieter than it had been in years. The Eagles, decimated by suspensions and transfers, struggled through a losing season. Merch sales plummeted. Enrollment in the university's athletic programs dropped. But amid the wreckage, Samantha stood taller than ever. She had been offered internships at national newspapers. Her story was nominated for a Collegiate Journalism Award. Devin, once terrified, now proudly listed his role in exposing the scandal. Lily left the athletic training program and pursued a degree in sports medicine elsewhere. Chase Dunbar declared for the draft but went undrafted. He later revealed everything in a heartfelt interview on a national talk show, earning both scorn and sympathy. Der Holtz received praise from academic circles for supporting student journalism. Her course on media ethics now had a waitlist twice its capacity. But Samantha knew this wasn't just a story about sports. It was about power, complicity, and the cost of silence. She visited the locker room one last time before graduation, now repurposed for intramural sports, and stared at the empty walls where championship banners once hung. She had taken down a machine much bigger than herself, and though the echoes of the past still haunted Eastbridge, they were now joined by a louder voice: truth. The final line of her follow-up article read, "The whistle didn't just blow once, it kept echoing, and now everyone is listening." The fallout from the anonymous email turned campus life upside down. Investigators descended on the athletic department, and Coach Braddock's name hit every major sports media outlet. But behind the noise, within the walls of the university, the real storm was just starting. Camilla Hart, once just a bystander in the program, found herself at the center. The administration called her in for questioning. As the department's academic advisor, she had insight into the players' coursework. The university's internal review board suspected she might have had knowledge, or worse, played a part in the cover-up. "You expect me to believe you never noticed players passing classes they never attended?" President Vance, cold and severe, glared across his desk. Camilla folded her arms. "I flagged multiple discrepancies. Each time I was told to drop it." "By who?" She hesitated. Throwing someone under the bus wasn't in her nature, but then she remembered the look Coach Braddock gave her the day she confronted him. The smirk, the arrogance. Coach Braddock and Der Gerson from the registrar's office. Vance leaned back, steepling his fingers. "You're going to need to provide documentation." Camilla had saved everything. Meanwhile, Jamal was spiraling. Once the golden boy of the Wildcats, he was now under a cloud. His phone buzzed endlessly. Reporters, teammates, boosters, even family. The team treated him like a pariah. He knew someone on the inside had to have leaked the grade rigging, and he had a terrible suspicion. It was Link. Lincoln was always recording, always keeping receipts. Jamal remembered a drunken night when they had laughed over a text Braddock sent, promising to make that D disappear. He hadn't thought much of it then. Now it looked like fuel to a fire. Jamal stormed into Lynx's dorm. "You did it, didn't you? You dropped the dime." Link looked up from his laptop. "I don't know what you're talking about." Jamal threw his phone on the desk. "You think I wouldn't recognize the language in this email? Intellectual dishonesty. That's straight from your notes." Link stood. "I didn't send it. I thought about it, but I didn't." Jamal scoffed. "You're lying. You think I'd put my scholarship on the line just to take down Braddock?" Link snapped. "I hate the guy, sure. But this This smells like something bigger. That night, Camilla received an unmarked envelope under her office door. Inside were copies of emails between Der Gerson and a man named Elliot Green, a booster and local business magnate. In them, Gerson asked Elliot for a favor with regards to a player's stats. Elliot replied, "Anything to keep our investment performing." Camilla's stomach dropped. The corruption was higher than she thought. She brought the documents to the review board, but before she could present them, she was stopped in the hallway by Detective Lara Nguyen, one of the investigators recently brought in. "You're in danger," Lara said flatly. "There are people involved in this who don't want the truth out. Keep your head down. Let us do our job." Camilla wasn't one to scare easily, but when she returned to her office later that evening, the lock was smashed. Her computer was gone. Meanwhile, Link finally admitted to himself that he had uploaded a folder of materials to a cloud drive months ago. A folder titled Insurance, just in case. He hadn't sent it to anyone, but when he checked the access logs, he saw it had been viewed 2 days ago. Not by him. He remembered logging into the computer lab and accidentally leaving the drive open. Someone else had found it. Then came the game. The Wildcats were forced to play without 4 key starters, all suspended pending investigation. Braddock paced the sidelines, veins bulging, fury barely masked. The team lost in the final seconds. Post-game, Braddock held a presser. His voice quivered with anger. "We've been betrayed, sabotaged from the inside, and when the truth comes out, those responsible will face consequences." He wasn't wrong, but not in the way he thought. That night, Link received an anonymous text. "Meet me under the west bleachers. Midnight. Bring the file." He hesitated, then slipped on a hoodie. He had to know who was playing this game and who else was pulling strings. What he didn't expect was to find Jamal already there, holding a flash drive. "I've been getting the same texts," Jamal said. "Let's end this." Before they could speak further, a car pulled up. Elliot Green stepped out, flanked by 2 men in suits. "Hand it over," Elliot said. Link stared. "You? You're not even faculty." "Exactly, which makes me harder to trace." Jamal clutched the drive tighter. "Give it to me," Elliot repeated, "or you both end up benched for life, and worse." From the shadows, a red light blinked. Detective Lara had been recording the whole thing. The trap was sprung, but what no one realized was that the real puppet master wasn't Elliot. It was someone even closer, someone who had everything to gain from taking Braddock down. And that final twist. It was still coming. The fallout was instant. News vans clogged the campus gates by dawn, swarming like wasps around the administration building. Headlines blared words like cover-up, fraud, and exploitation. But behind the media frenzy was a group of students and one professor who knew the storm was just beginning. Travis paced his apartment like a caged animal. He had done it. He had leaked the emails to the press under an anonymous tip line. Every incriminating document, every payment trail, every name. But with that choice came a bitter weight. He'd betrayed his team, his coach, his best friend, Dylan. Meanwhile, Dylan was nowhere to be found. His dorm room was stripped bare, his phone disconnected. Rumors said he'd boarded a one-way bus out of state. Some thought he had run because he was guilty. Others said it was fear. Travis didn't know what to believe anymore. Professor Whitaker stood before a wall of journalists, refusing to name the student who had leaked the documents. There comes a time when academic integrity means exposing corruption. We must protect those brave enough to speak up, not punish them. The NCAA launched a full investigation. Coaches were suspended. Administrators were placed on leave. Several games were retroactively forfeited. The university's spotless athletic legacy now bore the stain of scandal. But the true chaos unfolded behind the scenes. Inside a sterile conference room at the heart of the NCAA's headquarters, the whistleblower was summoned. Travis arrived in a plain hoodie and jeans, his heart jackhammering in his chest. Across the table sat 6 officials, stone-faced and silent. Among them was Alexandra Pierce, the lead NCAA investigator known for dismantling entire programs with a single report. "You know why you're here," she said flatly. Travis nodded. "We've reviewed the documents. They're real. What we want to understand is motivation." He took a deep breath, because no one else would. Because we're taught to play fair, to work hard. But the system is rigged. Dylan took the fall, but he wasn't the only one, and it wasn't his idea. Pierce leaned forward. "Do you have proof of others involved beyond the coaching staff?" Travis hesitated. "Yes." And with that, the second wave of the scandal detonated. The documents pointed to influential alumni, including a board trustee with direct influence over recruitment. They revealed a pipeline of money, endorsements, and favors, not just for athletes, but to silence professors who objected. It was bigger than anyone had imagined. Kayla, now back on campus, as the face of student activism, launched a campus-wide movement for transparency and reform. "This isn't just about football," she shouted through a megaphone during a rally. "It's about power and who holds it. And it ends now." A new board was assembled. Trials loomed. Whistleblower protections were enhanced. And Dylan, he returned. In a quiet twist, he showed up during the final student tribunal, wearing a suit and carrying a statement. "I accepted money," he confessed, voice clear and unwavering. "But not for me, for my sister's surgery. The coach offered it knowing I wouldn't say no." Gasps rippled through the crowd. He continued, "But Travis was right. I should have come clean. We all should have." The tribunal voted to reinstate his academic status. and remove the athletic ban. But Dylan walked away from the game. "Some plays aren't worth running again," he told Travis outside the hearing. The two stood in silence. Then Travis nodded. In the end, the university emerged raw but changed. Rules tightened, power decentralized. And in a history class months later, Professor Whitaker began the semester by writing one word on the chalkboard: integrity. The room was silent. Then Travis raised his hand, and for the first time in a long time, he smiled.